Hey friends, it's Jessica here, and welcome back to Stop Thinking, Start Talking episode of our English learning journey. Today, I want to have a very real conversation with you about something that might be secretly holding you back from speaking English confidently. And no, it's not your grammar, it's not your vocabulary, it's not even your accent. It's something far more sneaky, it's overthinking. Yes, that habit of replaying a sentence in your mind 5 times before you say it, worrying if you're pronouncing every word perfectly, or wondering if people are silently judging you. I know exactly how it feels because I've been there, and I know so many of you are there right now. But today we're going to break that habit. We're going to learn how to stop thinking too much, start talking freely, and actually improve your English speaking skills every single day. Here's the thing. Language is meant for communication, not perfection. Think about when you were a child learning your first language. Did you stop mid-sentence to check your grammar rules? Did you run to a dictionary before you spoke? Course not. You just talked. You made mistakes. You used the wrong word sometimes. And that's exactly why you learn so quickly. But when we grow older, we start adding layers of fear, doubt, and self-criticism. And those layers become a wall between your thoughts and your voice. My mission in this episode is to help you tear down that wall. Let's get something straight. Overthinking is like quicksand. The more you try to plan the perfect sentence in your head, the deeper you sink into silence. And silence, my friends, doesn't help you improve. You can only sharpen your speaking skills by speaking. The moment you start worrying about making a mistake, you're shifting your focus away from the person you're talking to and back into your own mind, and that's the exact opposite of fluency. Fluency is not just about speed, it's about flow. And flow comes when your brain and your mouth are in sync, without too much traffic in between. So, how do you stop thinking and start talking? Let's start with something simple. Speak first, correct later. Imagine you're learning to ride a bike. You don't stop every 2 meters to check if your posture is perfect. You keep pedaling even if you wobble because the motion itself teaches you balance. Speaking English works the same way. You need to keep the words flowing even if they're not perfect. If you make a mistake, fine. You can correct it later, but don't let that moment of self-correction stop your conversation. I want you to try something today. For the next 24 hours, every time you have the opportunity to speak English, jump into the conversation without preparing a perfect sentence in your head. Just start with what you know, even if it's simple. If someone asks, "How's your day?" Don't pause for 5 seconds thinking of an interesting answer. Just respond immediately. The faster you respond, the more natural you'll sound. And here's the magic. The more you do this, the less your brain will panic, and the more it will trust itself to speak without constant editing. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, "Jessica, but what if I sound stupid? What if they don't understand me?" Let me tell you a secret. People don't care nearly as much as you think they do. Native speakers aren't standing there with a mental grammar checklist. They're focusing on the meaning of what you're saying, not the number of mistakes you make. In fact, most of the time they won't even notice small errors, because that's not how real-world communication works. They're busy thinking about their own reply, just like you are. I also want to address a big myth, the idea that you need to know more vocabulary before you can speak well. No, my friend. You don't need 1,000 words to start speaking confidently. You can express almost anything with the vocabulary you already have, if you're willing to be creative. And here's a bonus. When you actually use the words you already know, you remember them better. New vocabulary becomes part of your active memory only when you speak it, not when you just read it in a book. Speaking every day doesn't mean you need a native speaker in front of you 24/7. You can practice by talking to yourself in English, out loud, not just in your head. Describe what you're doing as you do it. I'm making coffee, I'm adding sugar, I'm checking my phone. This may sound silly, but it's a powerful way to train your brain to think in English without translating. If you can get comfortable speaking to yourself, you'll be more comfortable speaking to others. Another thing I want to highlight is this. Don't wait for the perfect environment to practice. Some learners think, I'll start speaking when I move to an English-speaking country, or I'll practice when I find a speaking partner. That's like saying, I'll start exercising when I join a fancy gym. Well, you can start today where you are with what you have. Technology has given us endless opportunities. Online meetups, language exchange apps, even voice messages on social media. You don't need permission to speak English. You just need to open your mouth and start. When I was learning Spanish, I had a rule for myself. If I had the chance to speak, I took it. Even if my accent wasn't perfect, even if I knew I was making mistakes, I jumped in. And you know what? That's when I improved the fastest. There were times I felt embarrassed, of course, but each conversation taught me something new. And I promise you, your brain learns more from a messy, real conversation than from hours of silent study. One of the biggest turning points for many of my students is when they stop asking themselves, am I speaking perfectly? And start asking, am I being understood? Perfection is a moving target. You'll never hit it, and you don't need to. Communication is the goal, and communication is achievable right now, even at your current level. So here's my challenge to you. For the next week, I want you to speak English every single day without overthinking. Talk to your friends, talk to strangers, talk to yourself, talk to your pet if you have to. Talk. Keep the sentences simple if you need to. Don't wait for the right word. Use the closest word you know and keep going. And if you forget a word, describe it. This skill, describing instead of freezing, is one of the most valuable speaking tools you can develop. The truth is, fluency is built in the moments when you're brave enough to speak even when you're not ready. It's built in those imperfect real-life conversations where you push yourself out of your comfort zone. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Over time, you'll find that the words come faster, your confidence grows, and you stop second-guessing yourself. You already have what it takes to improve your English speaking skills every day. You don't need another textbook before you start. You don't need to memorize 1,000 more words before you talk. You just need to stop thinking so much and start talking. So, after this episode ends, I want you to find one person you can speak English to today. And do it. Don't plan, don't rehearse, don't wait. Just open your mouth and start. Alright, my friends, that's your mission. Remember, your goal is progress, not perfection. Every conversation you have is a step forward, and those steps add up faster than you think. I believe in you and I know you can do this. So go out there, stop overthinking and start speaking. Your future fluent self will thank you.